For step 5, I need to prepare my drawing paper by drawing the diagonals, creating the margins, and checking my work. So first I will create a diagonal on my comic. I move from lower left to upper right. I just take my ruler and I get right in the corner. I want to be as exact as possible. Oopsie. So I just made a common error. As I was doing it, my comic slid. It moved like that. I don't want that to happen, so I'm going to erase this very lightly. I do these diagonals very lightly because I don't want to mess up the color on my comic. But I also don't want it to slide. So I'm going to put something else under my ruler so it gives it a little cushion so it doesn't slide. So I've just used another piece of paper. Try that again. I want to go exact corner to corner. And I'm going to press down harder with my ruler so it doesn't slide around. It's a common place people make mistakes. So I went from corner to corner. Now what I'm going to do is put my comic in the lower left corner of my drawing paper. And I'm going to draw a diagonal across the drawing paper. I want it to fit exactly in the corner of my drawing paper. Exactly in the corner, as close as I can get to it. So there we go. I'm going to take my ruler, I'm going to line it up corner to corner as exact as I can. I'm going to draw a line across my paper. Oh no, slid again. Miss Sauer. Let's try that again. I need to be very careful with this. Oops. See how there's two lines now. I'm going to erase this line so I don't get confused. Okay. Don't worry if you do that. It's very common. This is difficult. So just drawing the diagonal and creating the margins, I'd say 3 out of 10 times I'm a little bit off on this. So it's normal to have to do it a couple times just to make sure you're right. I'm going to slide the paper down. I want to finish that line all the way across my paper. Have to slide it a little bit more. And I want to make sure my ruler's exactly lined up with that line before I draw it. There you go. Okay. I also want to finish the line down in the bottom left corner. Corner to corner. Make sure my ruler is exactly lined up. Okay. Okay. I like to put a little mark down here, lower left, so I don't get confused. Mine came out pretty exact. Remember, I had 4.5 when I found my scale factor between the papers. Remember this part? This means I'm going to come out exact to my paper. I could just use this paper and it would work for my cartoon, but most cartoons that won't work. The comic won't work like that. It's just for me, with this particular comic, it would have fit perfectly on this paper. But nonetheless, we're going to continue. So here's my diagonal. Oopsie, come back, comic. Next thing I'm going to do is create my margins. Now this is the part kids often have trouble with. But it's actually very easy. You just need to remember to start in the lower left corner. So here's my lower left corner, and I return to my paper and I look to see what my new dimensions are. This longest one, 27.2, this goes on the longest side of my drawing paper. So this is my longest side here. I zero it out and I want to make a mark at 27.2. So I'm going to stand up and look at it, because if I look sideways, I'm not always accurate. So at 27.2 I make a mark. 1, 2, right there. Oops, you guys can't see that, so let me slide that over. So 27.2 I made a mark. But I'm not finished measuring the length yet. I need to slide my ruler up to the top of the page also. And starting from the left side, I zero it out, And I want to make another mark at 27.2. So I slide my ruler over. I want to make a mark at 27.2, which is right, 27.2, right there. Okay. Now I'm going to connect these marks. So I'm going to look at this way. Here's my mark, and here's my mark. Notice how they're exactly lined up with the ruler. Okay. I'm going to draw that line straight across. Okay. That's one margin. From there to there. Okay. Now I'm going to do the same thing for the width. I start at the lower left, which is right down here, and my width is 20.4. So I want it to be 20.4 long. So here's 20.4 right to there. I zero it out. And I'm going to go up to my 0. I'm going to hold everything still. And I'm going to go to my 0. I'm going to make a mark. So right here. I'm going to, oopsie, it's a little bit too far. That's why we stand up right on top of it. Okay. Now I'm going to go across the page. I just slide my ruler straight over to the other side where I drew that line. I'm going to line it up with 20.4. I'm going to make a mark right where it says 0. I'm going to connect those marks. So by connecting them, I just draw a line straight across. Okay, I end up with a drawing paper that looks something like that. So there's a diagonal on it. I started here in my lower left. That's where I put my comic. So right here. And then I drew a line straight across, and these are my margins. I'm not going to write or draw on those margins. Now if I measured correctly, if I did everything correctly, this line, this diagonal, should cross pretty close to where these two lines intersect. Mine is good enough. It's great if you can do it exactly at that point, but it's very difficult to get that to happen. So this is just fine.